There is a particular kind of magic that lives inside a Gemini, an invisible ember that flickers between curiosity and chaos, between crystalline brilliance and the delicious risk of unpredictability. It does not announce itself with trumpets, it hums, glows, shapeshifts. You don't simply meet a Gemini, you are struck by them, like lightning that somehow learned to speak with charm and mischief and tenderness. Their presence leaves an imprint that is soft yet unforgettable, as if your spirit were dusted with starlight and asked gently to awaken. Envy often begins here, not because Gemini tries to provoke it, but because their very essence reveals how much more alive life can be. They enter a room and oxygen seems different. Colors feel louder. Possibilities lean forward. For many, that impact becomes a quiet ache they don't know how to name. They're drawn in, unsettled, inspired, and confronted, sometimes all at once. If this is already resonating in your chest, let yourself be guided by what moves you. Subscribe to Astro Gemini so these messages keep finding you at the exact moment you need them, as if the constellations themselves were timing your discoveries with care. When you invite this language into your days, you give your soul permission to keep remembering itself. First truth, the one that inspires both admiration and jealousy. Geminis carry two currents in a single river. One speaks the language of the stars, tasting symbols on the tongue of the mind. The other whispers the secrets of soil and skin and ordinary miracles. This duality isn't confusion, it is creation. They embody paradox without forcing resolution, and in that gentle refusal to choose, they become the resolution. They are a bridge no one else can build because it is made of what others keep apart. Let the world point and wonder. Let it name and misunderstand. You keep becoming. You keep walking toward the doors that call you by your true name. Let your yes be an opening, and your no be a boundary lined with light. Let your curiosity be a compass that doesn't need approval to be accurate. You were built for horizons. You were designed for thresholds. The universe trusted you with a restless heart because it knew you would use it to find more truth. If this message reached a bright place in you, if it felt like confirmation, comfort, or a gentle push, hold it for a breath, then pass it on. Like the wind Gemini carries, let this current move through your circles, your group chats, your kitchen tables. We're building a field where many selves are welcome, and your presence strengthens it. Before you go, leave your date of birth and zodiac sign in the comments so we can see which constellations are gathered here tonight. Tell us where in your chart Gemini lives, sun, moon, rising, or a whisper somewhere else, and what it's teaching you lately. Your story may be the bridge someone else needed. If you haven't already, subscribe to Astro Gemini so these transmissions find you right on time. Through seasons of reinvention, through evenings of doubt, through the exact minute you're ready to become again. And give this video a like at the end as a small vow to your own unfolding. That single gesture helps us light travel to others who are looking for a way to breathe differently. Keep your wings wide, your spirit soft, and your heart loud. May you walk with a chorus of versions of yourself and love each one. May your laughter be a lantern. May your contradictions be a cathedral. When the world tries to make you small, remember what the wind knows. It was born to move, not to ask permission. Thank you for being here, Seeker. Subscribe to Astro Gemini. Add your voice in the comments, and let your becoming continue beyond this moment. Like this video so the signal carries further than we can measure. If you want to hear everything the universe has to say to you, watch these other videos on our channel. Sometimes people want Gemini to slow down so they can catch up, to freeze so they can memorize, to behave so they can predict. But prediction is not intimacy. It is control. Gemini teaches a different intimacy, one made of wonder, attention, and trust. They say, "Watch me become. Meet me here. Let who I was yesterday bless us, but let who I am today be welcome." This is love as choreography, not possession, as permission, not contract. Hold this image, a Gemini on a city sidewalk, noticing the wind changing and somehow also hearing a memory hum through a passing song. They are both inside the moment and inside the pattern the moment belongs to. They say something that makes you laugh, and beneath your laugh you feel something knit back together. That is their craft. That is their sacrament. If you have been waiting for a sign, consider this one. Your multitudes are not a problem to solve. They are a choir to conduct. Your contradictions are not evidence of failure. They are evidence of life. Let the music happen. The envy that collects around Gemini is often misplaced wonder, a longing to be that free, that expressive, that vividly alive, mixed with the ache of not knowing how. But you do know, somewhere, you always did. That inner teacher has been patient. Evolve, it whispers. Speak, it urges. Feel fully, it invites without shame. You don't have to be a Gemini to carry their weather. You only need the courage to begin moving. And if you are a Gemini, let this be your mirror, your sacred reminder that your presence is medicine, that your chaos is a constellation, that your laughter heals more than you realize, that you were never too much. You were simply never meant to be less. When a Gemini leaves your life, you may forget specific words, but you will not forget the feeling. Like life itself had become more vivid, like possibility had color again, like you were just a little more infinite than before. Perhaps that is why their presence can inspire envy, not because of wit or beauty or effortless charm, but because they awaken sleeping places in others. They press on the parts that still want to heal. They mirror the freedom you once had and can have again. For some, that reflection feels unbearable. It demands courage, and courage is work. The world often advises you to pick one identity, one passion, one path, one tone. Gemini refuses, not out of rebellion, but remembrance. They remember that the soul is vast. They remember that being human is messy, magical, layered. To choose oneself at the expense of all others can be a betrayal of the universe that built you to be plural. So when people try to box them, Gemini slips through the cracks and emerges as something else entire. Morning after storm, a hush in a crowded room, a hand reaching for yours when you are certain no one could possibly understand. Here is a tender truth. You do not need permission to live like this. You need practice. You need devotion to your own aliveness. Gemini is proof that practice can turn into poetry. Their lives are draft after draft, each revision more honest than the last. They do not perform perfection, they practice presence. If you have felt misunderstood, scattered, too much, not enough, from another planet, know that there is a lineage for your flavor of being, and Gemini is one of its bright banners. You are not broken, you are braided. You are not inconsistent, you are complex. You are not contradictory, you are complete. And if every room asks you to shrink, let this room ask you to unfurl. There is something unmistakably spiritual about the way Gemini moves through the world. Like wind through trees, they stir things you cannot see. They make people think deeper, feel louder, dream wider. Not because they are trying to impress, but because their very being reminds everyone in the room of their own unspent possibilities. If you are a Gemini or carry a bright streak of Gemini energy, you may have been told you are too scattered, too emotional, too detached. But what if those are your superpowers? What if your heart was built to carry many truths at once, and the world just isn't used to that kind of capacity? If this message feels like a mirror, honor that feeling. Tap like as a small ritual for your own becoming. It tells the algorithm and the universe that this light still matters, and it helps this message find the next soul who needs it. Let your click be a candle. You are not here to shrink, to soothe someone else's fear. You are here to be fully yourself, bravely, brightly, continuously. Close your eyes for a breath and visit that flicker inside your chest, the fluttering, flickering light. That is your Gemini spark, restless, faithful, still becoming. Feed it, follow it, let it change the room you're in. We would love to witness your sky. Share your date of birth and zodiac sign in the comments so the circle can see which constellations are gathered here. Gemini suns, moons, risings, speak your coordinates. The map we make together is part of the medicine. Some of the most tender truths about Gemini are the ones rarely spoken aloud. They make everyone laugh and then cry in private. They remember the throwaway detail you shared 3 years ago and keep it safe like a pressed flower. They draft messages they never send. They stay awake wondering how to ease someone else's storm. They tuck away their own chaos to protect your peace. They forgive even when forgiveness costs them. These are not performances. They are habits of the soul, practiced quietly, stubbornly, with no audience to applaud.
13th truth. They connect with nearly everyone and belong to no one. This is not disloyalty, it is destiny. They arrive as wind, stir still water, and breathe life into forgotten corners of your soul. Then, when their work in your story is complete, they vanish like morning fog, leaving a sky so clean you can finally see your own horizon. Their absence haunts, their impact remains. Ask anyone who has loved a Gemini honestly, and they will tell you the lesson outlives the romance. 14th truth. Gemini lives in constant conversation with the unseen. Symbols nudge them, dreams whisper, archetypes pull their sleeves. They read between lines not because of a seminar, but because they were born listening to frequencies others tuned out. That's why they feel psychic. They aren't guessing, they're listening. They don't just understand people, they feel them, like a musician hearing harmony before a note is played. 15th truth, the one that slices through illusion like a bright bolt. A Gemini is never fully yours because they are always becoming. The world envies not only who they are, but who they might be next. They are evolution in motion, unfolding, unmasking, rewriting themselves without permission slips. Where fear freezes other people, Gemini chooses the next door and walks through. And what happens when the world looks at Gemini through the green tint of envy? Most wouldn't admit it. They'll say too much, too inconsistent, too talkative, too changeable. But behind those labels is a quiet confession. What we criticize in Gemini is what many secretly wish they had the courage to be. The freedom to transform, the nerve to speak, the audacity to feel everything and still turn the lights back on. Envy often wears the clothes of judgment because judgment feels safer than longing. Gemini knows this, which is why they are slow to take insults personally. They hear the ache behind the words. When someone calls Gemini fake, they may mean, I wish I knew how to evolve like that. When someone calls them unpredictable, they often mean, I fear what I cannot control. Gemini takes none of it as gospel. They take it as data, as weather, as proof that their wind is working. 9th truth. Gemini is a mirror. They reflect your energy, your truths, your camouflaged fears, the parts you buried in haste. Speaking with a Gemini can feel like talking to yourself through kinder eyes that don't let you lie. Not everyone is ready to be seen that clearly. So people admire them from afar, yet feel unsteady up close because Gemini's presence is truth, and truth reveals everything, beauty and bruise alike. 10th truth, they heal the world by laughing with it. Gemini alchemizes pain into humor and confusion into wit. Their joy is not superficial, it is survival, an art form born from refusing to drown. They thread warmth through dark rooms, not to minimize suffering, but to remind the room it still knows how to breathe. The lesson is hidden in the joke, tucked between a punchline and a pause no one else noticed. Their glow is earned. Their medicine is subtle. Their timing is holy. 11th truth. Behind the playful tone lives ancient memory. Gemini carries old wisdom dressed in new clothes. They can discuss the cosmos at breakfast and memes by lunch, and both will make honest sense because they are fluent in the sacred, hiding inside the everyday. They can turn a sidewalk into a sanctuary and a conversation into a ceremony. People wonder, how can someone be so light and still be so deep? That mystery breeds envy because the freedom they embody cannot be copied. It must be built from within. They trust motion. They trust timing. They trust that what is meant to understand will understand without the footnotes. 12th truth. Geminis rarely explain themselves. They live their truth without apology. And in a world addicted to being understood, that can sting. But their seeming detachment is a form of clarity. They are not aloof, they are aligned. They know they weren't made to fit inside small minds or narrow narratives. They were made to widen them. They trust motion. They trust timing. They trust that what is meant to understand will understand without the footnotes. 5th truth, they do not fear contradiction. They live it as wholeness. One day soft, the next storm. 1 hour poetic, the next pragmatic. They can cry over a song at noon and close a strategic deal by 2. This range often intimidates anyone who equates depth with staying the same. But for Gemini, depth is born from variety, the ability to hold multitudes, to be a choir without canceling a single voice. To outsiders, it looks like inconsistency. To Gemini, it is intimacy with life. 6th truth, they know how to disappear without leaving. Gemini can sit beside you while their eyes drift to another galaxy mid-conversation. You wonder where they went. It isn't distance, it is dimension. They slip between layers of perception that most people never visit, scouting for metaphors, meaning, and possibilities, returning with pockets full of sparks. They are both here and elsewhere, and if you are patient, they will hand you a star they found while you are speaking. 7th truth, they carry a private world, an inner garden with gates. Entry is rare not because they are cruel, but because the soil is sacred. Too many arrive with muddy shoes, with solutions that are actually cages. The Gemini heart guards its wildness with grace. When they let you in, it is a ceremony, not an accident. It means the constellation you carry rhymes with theirs. Tell us in the comments the date you were born and your zodiac sign. Offer your sky as a blessing to the circle. Let the community see which stars you bring. 8th truth, Gemini does not chase people. They pursue purpose. While others fracture themselves trying to secure affection or attention, Gemini seeks experience, raw, unfiltered, electric. Love for them is a widening, not a wall. Relationships exist to expand the self, not shrink it. They refuse the cage on principle,
and many envy that sovereignty without knowing how to claim their own.
Second truth. Gemini is a shapeshifter of the mind. They learn fast, adapt faster, and reinvent easily. They don't cling to a single version of themselves because they understand that identity is a verb, not a noun. They flow like seasons, idea into idea, mood into meaning, like rivers remembering old paths and discovering new ones. Their evolution can make others feel stuck in their own stillness, but Gemini was never designed for stillness. Motion is their medicine, change is their compass. Third truth, perhaps the most quietly envied of all. They can charm the silence straight out of a room. With a few words, a glance, a gesture, they stir hearts and soften defenses that seemed bolted shut. This isn't manipulation, it's magnetism. Their frequency hums at just the right pitch for souls that are searching. Whether you were ready or not, you'll remember them. Their voice is not noise, it is music. Their laughter does not merely echo, it invites. It invites you to see with brighter eyes, to question the ordinary, to imagine bigger, wider, wilder. And that kind of freedom shakes the foundations of people who never gave themselves permission to change. Fourth truth, the Gemini mind is a night sky that never sleeps. They think in constellations, in living maps of connection. What seems like distraction to others is actually expansion. Lightning fast pattern recognition. 1,000 windows open to what might be. While some walk straight lines, Gemini dances through webs of meaning, catching insights where no one else even looks. They are translators of coincidence, archivists of nuance, librarians of the unsaid.